Welcome to American Dreams, Keys to Success, with your host, Alan Olsen.
Welcome back. We have with us today on the show Steve Cho. Steve is the founder of a custom software system here in Fremont, California called ASCC.
Yes.
Steve, welcome to today's show.
And thank you for having me.
So, Steve, can you give us some of your background? How you got to where you are today?
Well, it all started being born and raised in L.A. in what I call the better part, growing up, South Central. If you know anything about L.A.
That's the good side of the tracks.
That's a good side of the track, right. It brings back fond memories, but I'd much rather be up here. I went to school in St. Louis, Washington University for my undergrad, and came back to USC for my graduate school, received a bachelor's in mathematics at Washington University and a master's in computer science at USC. Following that, I was working for Pacific Telephone at the time, and after I finished my degree, I proposed a question to them: "What have you got for me?"
And so, what year did you enter the field of going into business for yourself?
Probably about 1978.
So the computers were just starting to come into, the automate systems, and 78's really a little bit before the PC.
Oh, way before the PCs.
Yeah.
PCs didn't exist back then. Most systems were being run on large mainframes, and mini computers were just starting to take hold as an alternative to having to run on the mainframe.
So you went out and said, well, I think I'll go put a computer company together. You bought yourself a mini computer? And
Well, because my wife and I share the same background in terms of education, we decided that we were both young enough to try something on our own. She worked for IBM at the time. As I said, I worked for Pacific Telephone. We didn't both leave our jobs at once. She left first while I continued to at least earn a living. And as it turns out, we decided to try it on our own, and we're both young enough to go back into industry if we did not succeed.
what advice would you have for a person getting ready to start a business today, knowing what you know and having traveled the road that you traveled?
Well, I would say that it's not for everyone, but if you have a desire to be your own boss, make your own decisions, and go where you think you may be able to make a better life, go for it. That's what we thought, and we tried it, and we have not looked back.
So when you started out, how did you know you're going to make money?
We didn't. We saved up enough to survive about a year without, if we didn't earn a dime, we can go on for about a year. And within that time frame, we said, we'll give it a try. And we went out, or she went out and started to make contacts with a number of companies that were in the field. And as it turns out, the doors that were open allowed us to go through. And within about a year and a half, I left my job to join her.
So you left a stable, steady income.
Yes, stable income.
Moving out to the great frontier of owning your own business. And so when you showed up for work the first day in your own company, how did you feel? Afraid,
just not knowing what the future is going to hold for us, because you don't have the comfort now of receiving a check every 2 weeks. Insurance or coverage is not going to be there. Just the stability of knowing things are being handed to you.
What do you feel is necessary to be successful in life?
I think if you go into anything you do with an attitude that knowing the uncertainty, but you still want to give it a try and give it an honest try, and work to that goal, things will work out.
I'm visiting here today with Steve Cho. He is the founder of the company ASCC, a computer software company located here in the San Francisco Bay Area. We'll take a quick break and be right back after these messages.
With current laws, we have left our children an enormous financial burden. Even though they may be too young to understand it. At GrowCo, we care about you and the ones you love, and the quality of your and their lives. Call us today to see how we can help. 877-CPA-2006.
Helping you along the way.
Apple pie, baseball, and now here's All-American Alan Olsen.
Welcome back. I'm here today with Steve Cho. He's the founder of ASCC, a computer software company here in the San Francisco Bay Area. Steve, before the break, we're talking about your transition into the career, moving from the corporate world into your own business. When you got into your own business, though, what do you feel the turning point was in your career when you felt that you knew that you're going to make it?
Well, to this day, I still feel that I haven't made it yet, believe it or not.
Interesting.
Okay.
And you've been doing this for some, what?
No,
30?
see, I want to become a Bill Gates, but I know that will never happen.
Bill Gates, okay.
I think in terms of where I think we were satisfied with how things were going.
Yeah.
Is when my daughter was born.
What year was that?
In 81, when she was born, that was kind of the turning point because at that time, my wife, Amy, was with the company, and she decided that she wanted to be more at home with the daughter. And she started to cut back on her hours. And during the times that she was going to school, she, in fact, approached one of our clients who we wrote the software for and asked them if they were looking for someone to go in-house as opposed to outsourcing for outside service like ours to come in to support the system. And they said, yeah, they were at that time looking to go in-house. And I told her, go out and tell them your service is available. And there was no training involved because we wrote the system. We knew it inside out. She only wanted to work half-time, and that's all they wanted, a half-time person. And she made the change at that point.
Now, Steve, you're quite involved in the local community politics, and you have been for some time. Why are you involved, and why do you feel it's important to be involved in the community?
In looking back at my childhood and the things that my parents taught me, they would be very surprised what I'm doing today, because their recommendation was, don't get involved. Just keep to yourself and just make a good living, have a good family, and continue to save for the future, and don't make waves. Well, that was true back in the 50s and 60s because the climate of immigrants at that point was totally different than today. So, growing up with that attitude, I didn't get very much involved during the early part of life. It wasn't until I went to college and that the world opened up for me to see how life, the real world was like.
So, question for you: how should individuals set priorities in life?
It comes down to getting a good education in order to establish a better foundation for success in the future. That was the thing that was really drilled into us as kids, that if anything else happens, you need a good education. Because I grew up from a restaurant background, working in a family-run business. Everything that you can imagine to be done in a restaurant, I did. I look back at that as a good experience. It taught me a little bit more about the value of the meaning of goods and just cherishing what you do have. One thing I regret today and not taking more advantage, because that's all you can think of is getting out of that environment. But I would like to have learned how to cook even more in a restaurant.
I'm visiting here today with Steve Cho. Steve, it's been wonderful having you on the show today.
Okay.
We'll be right back after these messages.
You're listening to American Dreams with Alan Olsen on AM 1220 KDOW.